2 hours before Mrs. Horsehair was found murdered in her library room, she had invited some guests over to her house to have dinner with her. These guests are her neighbor, and together with her neighbor is his son, which is young Mr. Archibald. Other than this, she also invited the local vicar, which is Reverend Raudhah, and Mr. Oscarson, which is a film director, together with his companion, Miss Topless, which is well-off actress. Other than these people, she also invited a novel writer and an American lady and her helper, which is her butler and her maid. After the dinner, all the guests along with Mr. Horsehair left the dining room and they proceed to billiard room for the gentlemen, and the ladies went to the parlor to have their drink. At 9:30 p.m., when the butler came to the billiard room to serve port to the gentlemen, young Mr. Archibald left to meet Daphne at the conservatory, while Mr. Oscarson went to the ballroom to meet Miss Topless. Mr. Archibald and Reverend also left the room to join the ladies in the parlor room, where Geoffrey also went to the library bringing the port decanter with him. He said that he need to write an important letter. 9:40 p.m., Reverend excused himself and went to the terrace, and at 9:45 p.m., Miss Topless together with Mrs. Horsehair are in the ballroom. The maid heard loud voices coming from the room, then shortly after, Mrs. Horsehair went to the library. At 9:55 p.m., Reverend Trulove stated that Geoffrey went out slamming the door behind him. After crossing the hall, that the maid Charlotte had heard is Geoffrey's. And finally, at 10 p.m., the maid heard scream and found Mrs. Horsehair lying lifelessly on the cold floor.
So there were a few suspicious informations and clues, such as Mrs. Horsehair and Mr. Oscarson had an intimate conversation at the end of their dinner table. So we know that they are planning to marry each other, but the others do not know yet. So in their eyes, they might be having an affair because Topless had Mr. Oscarson as her companion. And then Velvet, the butler, had mentioned that she always looked pretty in blue. So Velvet might have sort of a little crush on Daphne, and that's hence why Velvet was curious about the note that Daphne was about to give young Archibald. So Velvet decided to read it, and Velvet is one of the people who knows about the plan, about Daphne's plan, that she was going to meet young Archibald in the conservatory. Next, one of the silver candlesticks were missing in the library. So that happened when Velvet caught Mrs. Horsehair dead on the floor. And I think that someone might have used the candlesticks as a weapon to attack Mrs. Horsehair, or Mrs. Horsehair has used one of the candlesticks as a source of defense, maybe. And then Geoffrey was also on a phone call with one of his gambling companions, his gambling friend, saying that he will find the money. So we know that Geoffrey loves to gamble, but his mom always keeps him short of money. And then the last one is Agatha Christie, Myrtle Berry, and old Mr. Archibald were having sort of a discussion about murder, and it has been going on for quite a while actually.
Who made the vicar unconscious? There are 4 suspects, which is Daphne, young Archibald, Topless, and Geoffrey. So Daphne and young Archibald was in the conservatory, so they are less likely to be the one, and Topless was in the billiard room, so she is less likely to be the one. And lastly, Geoffrey was outside, and when the vicar was about to go back into the house, he noticed that there was someone behind him. So the only person that could be is Jeffrey. Why might Topless be the murderer? Topless does not want Horsehair to marry her companion, which is Mr. Oscarson. And number two is that she wants to get revenge on Daphne by killing her aunt Horsehair because Daphne was wearing the same dress as her. And number three is Oscarson might have asked Topless to kill Horsehair to get money so that Topless and Oscarson could get married instead. And lastly is the piercing scream was probably from Topless since she is an actress, and to make it seem like it was some kind of shocking thing to see. And plus, after killing Horsehair, she could go into the billiard room since the door connecting to the library was open.